There's one thing that nobody's talking about that really is the definitive thing that we know happened that can set apart this discussion and prove whether it was an inside job or not. One single thing, and that I will discuss in this video. So stay tuned. Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. I think you're really gonna enjoy this video today because I'm gonna tell you definitively whether or not the Trump shooting was an inside job. I've been able to analyze enough information recently to give a definitive answer. So definitely stay tuned for this video and I'll 100% give a definitive answer in this very video. I put up a video recently right after the shooting. You guys may or may not have seen. If you haven't seen it, check it out. That video is basically where I analyzed what happened. And I did that very early on and didn't have a whole lot of information to go on, but was able to do a pretty good analysis. And actually that an early analysis I did has proven to be true. So pretty cool there. You can go back and see that. Recently, since that video, a lot of people have been chiming in and confirming what I talked about in that video about the negligence involved with law enforcement. I was able to see that pretty early on just because of my experience. So most people in the tactical community or that have any kind of an interest really in tactics or subterfuge, anything like that, are aware that I am now approaching maybe almost 20 years now in the private security sector and really just have a pretty extensive experience, which is what I share everything on. It's how I develop my products. Everything's experience based, which in today's world, the type of experience I've been able to garner is pretty unique. There aren't many people out there who are able to give both sides of the perspective, both that of the criminal aspect, being a wanted fugitive for a number of years also has given me quite a unique perspective, and working overseas in very highly non-permissive and dangerous environments. So I'm able to give a very unique perspective on this subject. Now, the one thing that gives away whether it was an inside job or not is the way that the suit and tie guys, the executive protection style team, the actual presidential protection team that was close to him while he was on stage, the way that they conducted themselves. We can tell from the way that the hierarchy of the Secret Service conducted itself and the way that the sniper team conducted itself. We discussed the sniper team in the first video, obvious negligence there. We can tell, and many people know, that the hierarchy of command displayed gross negligence, both in their communication and their passing off responsibilities from one to another to the point where the responsibilities apparently got overlooked and the president almost got killed. But the one thing that nobody's talking about is specifically how the president's protection detail acted after the shots were fired. And about that one detail, there's something even much more specific. And one part of what they did sticks out like a sore thumb because they did everything else so well. Now, there were a couple suit and tie individuals that did perform badly, but believe it or not, the majority of them performed very, very well. So the one thing that they did to give away whether it was an inside job or not really stuck out. And I can't believe nobody else noticed this. If you can guess the one thing, comment in the comment section below. But here it is. It is the way that these Secret Service agents allowed him to take a selfie. And that gave away whether or not it was an inside job. Let me explain. Now, as a security professional with a gun, protecting an individual or asset, there's one thing that always holds true that these guys glaringly did wrong and obviously rejected purposefully, because you could tell from their training that they were squared away enough, the majority of them, to know better than doing this. And they allowed Donald Trump to take a selfie. They allowed him to take extra time, and they considered, going and getting his shoe and this craziness. So what that actually means is that there was some level of negligence involved, and there's three potential things that it could be, that negligence. It could be planned negligence, it could just be negligence, or it could be a combination of the two. But let me tell you, as a professional in the security industry, and one who is very good at my job, I'll let you know, you don't just let your client make decisions in the heat of the moment. When you are protecting someone's life, first off, it doesn't really even matter if you're law enforcement, private sector, it doesn't matter. You have an understanding from the beginning that you're willing to put your life on the line for your clients. And when the shots ring off, and we always want to say that, we always want to say when the shots ring off, when the SHTF, when stuff really hits the fan, this is what's going to happen, right? Well, in this case, stuff actually did hit the fan, and we know that those agents should have never allowed Trump to stop, expose himself, and take a selfie. They never should have considered letting him look for his shoes. Guys, if this situation happened and it was not an inside job, and these agents didn't know that there was a scheduled for Trump to be shot that day, then they would not have known how many shooters there were. They wouldn't have known what the enemy threat level was, and everything about their job would have been getting him out of there, first into the Beast or whatever heavy armored vehicle that they could get him into, and then getting him the heck out of there as quickly and expediently as possible. There would have been no point, and these guys 100% knew this, there would have been no point in which it was okay for them to expose him to the threat of fire coming from anywhere around. And they did that, and they let him take the famous fist selfie, and they really exposed him a lot of times, and they didn't get him out of there as quickly as possible. And you know that these guys are squared away as far as, like I say, the majority of them. So that leads us to knowing 100% for sure that there was negligence involved. And now I'm going to tell you definitively whether or not it was an inside job. We know 100% that there was gross negligence involved. It could only be three things: that all of the Secret Service agents were so wildly undertrained and had absolutely no idea that what they were doing, that they just acted like a bunch of amateur Girl Scouts and lost their minds. Now, I don't think that this is what happened. So that's option one, and I personally believe, it is my opinion, that we can rule out option one. So option one is that it was 100% pure negligence. There was no planning involved, there was no inside job, and that everybody was just terrible at what they do. I think we can rule that out. I think we can definitively rule out that it was not only negligence. Option two is that it was planned. It was 100% planned. It was a planned inside job from the beginning. Everybody involved was working together to take the president out, former President Trump, and the entire body of law enforcement, all of the different law enforcement groups that were working together that day, which was many, were all working together, and it was a complete conspiracy. I think we can rule that out. I don't think there's a universe to where all law enforcement works together, period. So, and then everybody wanting to take out the president, who now is pretty much, seems to me to be a shoo-in, because Biden just dropped out of the race, and I don't think anybody could possibly think Kamala Harris has either the intelligence or experience to run a nation, whether you like Trump or not. I don't know if we can even surmise that there's another candidate for president at this point. It seems like he's the only option. I don't think we even have to vote, but anyway, you know. And I'm not either supporting nor not supporting Trump, but what a turn of events. So now in this video, I'm about to definitively prove to you whether or not it was an inside job. There's only one more option left. All right, we've walked you through everything, and the only thing, and make sure that you guys realize the gravity of this video you're watching right now. I am definitively proving whether or not this was an inside job. I'm not a detective, I'm just a YouTuber, but you will find out in the future that you heard it first, what actually happened with the assassination attempt of former President Trump from some random guy on YouTube on his bicycle. How crazy is that? What a time to be alive. So, if you consider negligence of command to the point where the people calling the shots in charge of scheduling and setting up this event, this rally, in charge of the people in charge of the security, if you consider them dropping the ball to the point where they knew or should have known, there's no way that they couldn't have known that their negligence could have caused the president to die. So if you consider that an inside job, then yes, it was an inside job, and we just proved it definitively. So remember, guys, you heard it here first, and you just heard it definitively proved that the shooting of former President Trump was an inside job, being a combination of negligence and planning for lack of success. The planning of the security by the people that do the planning, especially and specifically the communications and what type of people were put in charge of security, the layout of communications, and the distribution of responsibilities, and how clear that distribution of responsibilities was. It was an utter failure, and it was gross negligence, and it was planned negligence, because it was planned. This security just didn't happen on its own. The security was planned. The people that were in each zone, they were planned to be there. Responsibilities of who was responsible for what, that the ball got dropped on, all of these issues that the ball got dropped on were planned ahead of time. And there are people that it's their job to make sure that this stuff is clear. Being that they didn't make it clear, we can definitively ascertain that that's exactly what happened. That's how this was an inside job. And we just watched planning of those in power open the door for a former president to be shot for the first time in the history of the United States. Thanks for watching. Bone out.